Hi, everybody. I didn't realize it until today, but I seem to be in a week of wearing capes and shawls. I don't know why. Just that time of the year, I guess. In the 1990s, I did a lot of cross stitch, counted cross stitch. I was just starting out then. This is 1991. Later, I got into linens and things like that, but let me see if I can put this up there so you can see it. Can you see those? The wise guys. All right, the wise men, the magi, the wise guys. I thought for Epiphany we should talk about them just briefly. They happen to be one of my favorite parts of the Christmas story because they weren't Jewish, they weren't local, they weren't anything that the story up until that point had led us to believe was where the story was going to go, right? I mean, we have Jewish parents going to the city of David, then discovering that they were visited by shepherds who were probably raising the sheep that would the sheep that would become the sacrificial lambs at the temple in Jerusalem. But then along come these guys from the east, no doubt from Persia, today's Iran, which and they were scholars of the stars, which probably means that they were Zoroastrian practitioners and perhaps leaders or priests in the Zoroastrian religion. And they traveled, and I was doing some research for my sermon on Sunday and discovered that it was like 1,200 kilometers that they were traveling to get to the manger, which is, oh, shoot, I don't remember how many miles that is, like 875 or something. But that they would travel about 25 miles a day on camelback. That means it was a heck of a long journey, right? Could be anywhere from 4 months to a couple of years that it took before they got to see Jesus. We don't, I mean, this and everything else depicts that there were three of them. And tradition, especially around the Mediterranean, where we have very beautiful traditions around the three kings. They've given them names, but we don't have that in the Bible. And to be honest, we don't even know from the Bible that there were three. We know there were three gifts: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. But how often do you go someplace and take more than one gift, Or it could have been a whole group chips in and buys three gifts. Maybe there were 10 of them and they gave three gifts. We don't know. And were they kings like we think of kings, or were they kings like the sheiks who headed Bedouin tribes? We don't know that either. An awful lot has been created around these guys. And if they were that wealthy, they probably traveled with an entourage, may well have included women. So why aren't we talking about three wise gals? A funny joke. What was that I heard? You could tell that the three wise men were men and not women because women would have stopped and asked for directions sooner. It's crazy, but you get the idea. There's a lot we don't know about them. But one of the things that we do know is that they were not Jewish, and they traveled. It was important to them to follow the star. Now, what was the star? I'm not going to go into that. It could have been a celestial event. Could have been a star. I'm never going to say that God couldn't have done that. It could have been an alignment of planets, similar to what we had in the last couple of weeks again, although bigger. I'm not an astronomer, so I don't know that history. But we do know that they traveled with the intention of following the star and getting to see this new baby. Even though they didn't believe in him, they were not Jewish, they were not looking for a Messiah. They didn't suddenly become Christ followers. They went home by another way. but they went home. They went back to Iran. So why is this important? Well, for me, it's important because it says that Jesus is significant across cultures, across nations, to foreigners, however you define that. That there's no people or body of people that he is not, should not be recognized by. And it lets me know as a great model that I need to be following the starlight too, and not looking around at the star shadows, because behind me there would be the shadows of where we have come from. Me on a camel, now there's an image. But if I were there and I looked over my shoulder, I would see the shadow, but I'd be looking backwards. And I need to keep looking forward. I need to keep my eyes on the prize. I need to be looking at that star, because that star, in our case, we think the star is Jesus. So by honing in on that star, that holy light, I am taken to where I need to be to recognize what's going to change my world, just as the Magi did. Isn't it something? Think of how that part of the story has come down through history, has developed its own culture of mythology and legend. It's an important piece of our nativity story, because I think it underscores that Jesus came for everybody, whether they followed him or not. And the same is true today. His way can affect everybody, whether we are followers or not. I don't remember the name of the book. Thich Nhat Hanh wrote a book about his Tibetan Buddhism and Christianity, and how his life has been affected by Jesus. So he's not just for us. And we don't have to expect that even among us, all of us are going to feel the same about him. You look at those people who came to the manger, symbolic though they might have been, everyone had a different relationship with him. The shepherds, I'm sure townspeople, the kings, Mary and Joseph themselves, innkeeper's spouse, whoever it was who was around. Unique, wonderful, one-on-one relationship. And that's what we are invited to create. Okay, everybody, that's the thought for today for Epiphany, the day of the inbreaking of God into the universe. Makes me wonder, though, if an epiphany is an inbreaking of God, is the epiphany the star? Or is the epiphany Jesus? Or is the epiphany the Magi and us? Maybe it's all of the above. Who knows? Thanks for joining me for this prayerful pause with the pastor that's designed to raise more questions than we will ever answer. I'm Pastor Deb Swift of South Presbyterian Church in Rochester, New York. We'll see you next time. Bye for now. Take care. God bless.